Listen, in this apartment, okay, we do videos in burrito blankets while sipping a mini Coke out of a straw. Hello. First and foremost, to all of my friends who celebrate a happy Lunar New Year. We are in the Year of the Dragon. Keynote, that's important. In my last video, I mentioned in my last video that I would be talking about the journey that I went through to get to California, as well as my studio experience. However, two things kind of occurred to me while I was doing the video. The first thing is that it would be an incredibly long video. A lot happened, a lot of things to discuss and cover, but fear not, I do plan on doing a deeper dive of each of my experiences, but I wanted it to be a little bit more catered to each experience, so that way it's not a really quick brushed video, which is what this video is. Which leads me to my second point. I had already done the recording. In fact, I had every intention to post the video last week, but as I was editing, something occurred to me. So I found it boring. So if I found it boring, then it stands to reason that you would find it boring, and then the video would be boring. So I had to find something to make it fun, zhuzh it up a little bit, and I really had nothing. In fact, I kind of went into a deep dive of just, I don't know. There was a lot of hiding under said burrito blanket. However, I looked to my culture, and as I said, this year is the Year of the Dragon. So I thought, why not do sort of a voiceover while I'm doing art, sort of a time lapse while we're talking about the very abridged version of my journey through LA. So without further delay, let us jump right into it. Wanted to point out, I am currently using Clip Studio Paint. It does have a time-lapse feature, but what I didn't know is that it just records the canvas as a whole. So you actually can't see me flip the canvas, zoom in on parts when I'm trying to do detail work, but it's all there. It's just, it doesn't show the camera moves, which makes sense. So I just wanted to also point that out. In my last video, I had mentioned that my last video was me and my mom driving down to LA to pretty much start my adventure, which is pretty much just that. We had already planned for me to stay with one of her friends, but that did not work out. So for the first couple of weeks, months, I was in California, in LA. I really couldn't focus as well as I wanted to in job hunting and even vlogging some of my day-to-days because I was so stressed. I didn't have a place to stay. I was bouncing between friends' couches. So while I was still applying to places, I really wasn't doing research. I wasn't putting my heart into it. It was definitely a scary time, especially when you're a woman by yourself. My mom did eventually have to leave while she wanted to stay with me. We just didn't know what else we could do at that time. So a lot of it was left to me, and making sure that I was safe, especially at night, you know, became my priority. I did have some friends out here already that through their kindness, I was able to crash on their couches for a couple of nights. They connected me with people who were able to help me find a safe place to stay. In those moments, you really learn a lot about yourself and the people that you surround yourself with. And it's not to say that the people who couldn't provide me a place to stay were bad people or bad friends. It's just the situation. They were able to help me in other ways. There were definitely people who did try to help me, who reached out, and those couple of months really was a humbling experience for me. You really don't know what it's like to take for granted just a small space to call your own. It's wild. Like, I don't have words for it, but to say the least, it was very humbling. And honestly, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot of the strength and where I can pick myself up, but it's not necessarily something I would recommend. Definitely, if you plan on coming here just cold turkey, have at least a place to stay and a backup it's really, the entire experience was just, it was really eye-opening and shocking. And I thought I grew up a lot, but apparently I had a lot more of growing up to do. Still probably do. I'm still a child inside. So going through all of sort of the financial trouble and the just trying to find a place to stay, it really did take up a lot of my time. I couldn't really sit down and, like I said, really figure out applications, be at my best for these interviews. And in hindsight, that did kind of fall on me. But once I did find a place through just wonderful friends, I was able to dedicate more time to both interviewing, applying places, and just being in the community. I went to a bunch of meetups like WIA, which is Women in Animation, and then at the time, CTN was really big. There was no Lightbox. So I did CTN, I volunteered, I met so many amazing, creative, talented people who were also just sort of trying to get their foot through the door and doing their thing, and we all sort of connected. And it was through that where I met an amazing person who connected me to their friend, who eventually became a friend of mine and an amazing coworker. And I was able to get my first job as a production assistant at DreamWorks Television. DreamWorks, honestly, without getting into so much detail, really was an amazing experience. They really set the bar as to just an overall industry experience, the people and the connections that I wanted to make, and just the joy of projects and what it was that was important to me working in the industry. So the bar was set pretty high. While I was at DreamWorks TV, I was also promoted to a production coordinator. I stayed there for another year and a half. I was there for almost 3 years. And then I decided to leave DreamWorks to go to a smaller studio because I wanted experience on what it was like to work/run a startup, because I also want to, that's my dream. I want to make my own startup studio, animation studio, and do my own thing and empower others to create, and let's make awesome animation. But that's another point. That's another side. So I took the leap, left DreamWorks, went to this smaller studio, and then the world was like, you know what would be really just the cherry on top? A pandemic. So while the globe basically shut down, and we all experienced the joys of what it would be like to work from home, I pretty much packed up my necessities and left LA to work truly from home with my family, with my parents. I was part of the mass exodus out of LA, but I still had stuff in LA. Also in that time, I left the small studio and went to Netflix. Was there for about a year, also seeing what it was like to work in a bigger studio, but still in COVID times. While I was home, the project that I was on with Netflix, I ended up finding another opportunity to go join Marvel Animation. I was on a project with our favorite web slinger. That was an amazing experience until the layoffs started to happen. Despite the layoffs that were happening, I hitched a ride across the lot on a Star and was able to have an amazing opportunity to work at Walt Disney Feature Animation. All throughout this entire experience, I was still a coordinator. I was working as a production coordinator, and each experience had their own unique flavor, except maybe for the chaos. But that's a production as a whole. It's part of the magic that goes into making animations. But that's also, in that chaos, the joy that brings people together. So with the wrap of the feature project that I was on at Disney, I'm here with much of the industry as well, just looking for the next gig. It's been a rough ride. I won't lie about that, but I am remaining very hopeful and optimistic for 2024. Like I said, I still want to be able to share that experience and keep this up. It's been an adventure so far, and I would love to continue it. I am curious to see where this adventure will take me. This is just the very rough, very abridged version of my career journey thus far. I do plan on doing deep dives into each part of my experiences, maybe more of the behind the scenes and the production work, and maybe a little bit of tea. But overall, I want to keep it chill and mellow and just really talk about each experience because I did have a lot of fun on each of these projects. Animation and the production management side is a whole different beast than what it is for artists. That, in a way, is what is appealing for me. I love working with artists. I love being an artist myself, so I do know what it's like, but being able to be sort of an advocate for artists, I also enjoy too. And there we have it. I completed illustration here and the full abridged version of my journey to LA and what I've been up to the last couple of years. Admittedly, I am very shy about showing my work. I've never done a time lapse or just sort of this process before, but in an effort this year to be a little bit more proactive and just posting my art and just sharing in that, I said, let's just take that leap of faith. I still got a lot to learn, and I hope that you'll be a part of that learning journey. Anyways, thank you so much again for watching and listening. To all my friends and anyone watching, have a wonderful, happy Lunar New Year. I hope the dragon is kind to you this year. I will be posting videos every other Thursday, so until the next one, I will see you guys later. Stay awesome, my friends. Bye!